Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bronze Crown lore. Today is episode 9, and we're going to be talking about the Clocksmith as well as the Goddess of Pleasure. In the very first episode, I mentioned how pain gives Chaos Dragons magic powers, and in the second episode, I said that pleasure gives Celestial Dragons magic powers as well. Well, there are two characters in the Bronze Crown who get so much magical power, one from pleasure and the other from pain, that they effectively became gods. They achieved eternal life. They got some crazy powers. The first of the two is the Clocksmith. She gained her power from being tortured. I think now is a good time to mention this, but Celestial Dragons can only gain power from pleasure, and Chaos Dragons only gain power from pain. If you tortured a Celestial Dragon, they wouldn't gain anything from that. If you gave drugs to a Chaos Dragon, they wouldn't get any powers from that. I mean, they might get powers when they're suffering from the negative effects of the drugs, but the pleasure wouldn't do anything for them. But anyway, back to the Clocksmith. She was well known for her inventions. She designed the first clocks in the world of the Bronze Crown, and without her innovation, the Chaos Dragons would have never known the time. She gave the Emperor at the time her designs for her clocks, and she was given a large reward of gold for it. She gave the money to her parents, and she continued her work on her new projects. Now, a group of bandits caught word of her dealings with the Emperor, and they kidnapped her. Now, torture is outlawed by all Chaos Dragons due to the fact that it gives the person being tortured magic powers. That can be problematic, because if someone is tortured enough, they could escape and kill a lot of people with their magic. But of course, these bandits didn't listen, and they tortured the Clocksmith anyway. They brutally tortured her for 9 days and nights straight. They inflicted brutal wounds onto her, but they always made sure to keep her alive. Eventually, when they realized that they would never get answers out of her, they got bored, so they gouged out her eyes and hung her from the ceiling of their hideout. They left her there to die, but she didn't die. At the end of her life, she transcended reality and became a god. She broke free, and she found that she had the ability to stop time at will. She used her new power to slaughter the bandits, leaving none left. She got herself a blindfold to cover her eyes, and she found that she could still see, despite the fact that her eyes were gone. She could see only in shades of red or in shades of black and white if her eye sockets were obscured by her blindfold. Her mental state had deteriorated severely due to her torture, so she decided that life was not worth living, and she took to murdering other dragons to help them. She infused her powers into her first clock, using it as a focus to help her control her powers. She could click the button on top of her clock to freeze time, and she could wind it back to see visions of the past, although she couldn't interact with anything in the visions. She could also see into the future, but she would see all possibilities of the future, kind of like Clearsight from Wings of Fire. She wandered around the world, killing bandits and other people who did bad things. But eventually, she found something that she would become obsessed with for the next few years. Something that would become her little experiment. Something that would captivate her attention for the next decade and keep her from killing, just so she could observe it. What was this obsession, you ask? You'll have to read the book to find out. Now, the Goddess of Pleasure is of less importance, but I figured I'd tell her story as well, given that she has godlike powers anyway. Basically, she was the daughter of the queen of the silver dragons, and she eventually became their queen. She gained her powers through feasts and drugs and copious amounts of copulation. She felt so much pleasure, she gained the ability to twist the minds of other dragons to her will, which only allowed her to gain further pleasure by manipulating dragons into having intimate interactions with her. And of course, the more pleasure she felt, the more powerful she became. But that's about it for her. But yeah, that's the video. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe.